Anthony Norman.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. And the honourable member opposite from the opposition was absolutely right to highlight the second day of a budget debate as a moment on which we can discuss these bigger issues. And I join him in thanking the more than nearly 50 colleagues of ours for their contributions. But I'm afraid I disagree with him on some of the diagnosis that he's given, and perhaps I can explain why in the course of my own remarks. So he claimed that the budget had no ambition. Now, you don't have to listen to me, Madam Deputy Speaker, if you want to know whether, or the Chancellor, if you want to know whether the budget had ambition. You can simply listen to the Resolution Foundation, which said, and I quote, "This was a big, policy-focused budget. It rightly sought to boost the recovery before turning to fix the public finances, in both cases with a large, indeed potentially too large, focus on Britain's firms." So that, I think, is pretty clear. They also said the Office of Budget Responsibility, continuing furlough to September, will reduce the rise in unemployment ahead, with the Office of Budget Responsibility expecting it to peak at just 6.5%, down from 7.5%. If realised, this would be, and I'm quoting, by far the lowest unemployment peak in any recent recession, despite this being the deepest downturn for 300 years. That would include the Labour recession of 2008, Madam Deputy Speaker. So we can only hope and pray that these measures may have something like that effect. But to suggest that they are short of ambition is quite wrong. Let me just remind, if I may, the House of the scale of what we are attempting. There are three great themes to this budget. The first is the need to support people and businesses through this crisis. The second is the need to fix or begin to fix the public finances. And the third is the need to lay the foundations of our future economy. And these are all big issues, just as the member for Staley Bridge and Hyde has rightly pointed out. These are big matters which we are grappling with and gripping from the dispatch box and from the Chancellor's own budget. Let's just touch on those. Supporting businesses and people. That would be extending furlough to the end of September. It would be the further grants we've made to the self-employed, the restart grants, a new set of grants designed to help the retail, hospitality, leisure and personal care businesses, and I emphasise personal care businesses, such as the very important role they play in our economy, to help them get going again. The business rates holiday, which has been extended for 3 months before tapering for another 9 months, extending the VAT cut to 5% for a further 6 months before tapering it for another 6. Continuing our stamp duty cut, extending universal credit and working tax credits by 6 months, more money for apprenticeships, new recovery loans, a large package for the arts, culture and sports. That is one component of this budget. But of course, as the Chancellor has rightly emphasised, we must continue, or I should say, engage with the work of fixing the public finances. And that is why we are asking the largest, the most profitable firms to pay more in 2 years' time by increasing corporation tax. But of course, we are giving, at the same time, in the shorter run, a super deduction. I think that is a very thoughtful policy. What that essentially says is that those businesses, and there's something like £100 billion held in corporate balance sheets at the moment in the UK, that those businesses, we need to get away from this patterns of underinvestment by business, and this is a way of attempting to move corporate Britain in that direction. And it may succeed, it may fail, but it is a very worthwhile attempt to kickstart that business investment that is going to be foundational, not just to recovery from the pandemic, but to our long-term prosperity. And of course, we have taken a variety of other measures to support the public finances. And then, of course, building the future economy, the suggestion that was made by some colleagues across this chamber that somehow this was a piecemeal effort could not be further from the truth. 45 new town deals, the Community Ownership Fund, £150 million, the free ports in England, the Infrastructure Bank. I've been very closely involved with the Infrastructure Bank. I can tell you that is potentially going to be a very significant institution. It's got, of course, its starting capital, but it also has firepower up to £40 billion. That's not a trivial amount of money. And placing it in Leeds could not be a more emphatic demonstration of the government's commitment to levelling up, as it has been with the move not just by the Treasury, but also by other government departments, DIT, BEIS, MHCLG, to join in a new campus in Darlington. And that, as the member for Darlington said, this is going to transform that town, but it also sends a much wider signal. And the signal is, by their fruits shall ye know them. And it's all very well talking about these things. Those towns, those areas could have been supported by the Labour Party over decades, and they were not. And this government is stepping forward to make that difference. And of course, the difference isn't just going to be in the investment, the pounds, shillings and pence that are spent there. It's going to be in the lifting of expectations, the career opportunities, the possibility of framing a new narrative based on different assumptions about how the world works than just the ones to be found in London. And I think that is a profoundly exciting and important thing. Of course, we're talking also about the Levelling Up Fund, Help to Grow, and a very important development on future breakthrough. Now, I love the fact that we will be supporting not just levelling up, but our green investment through the UK Infrastructure Bank. That's going to be a very important part of the picture. If I may, let me just turn to some of the comments made by colleagues, because I think they were very well taken. There are many areas where I'm not sure I always agree with the member for Wokingham, but when he said go for growth, he was absolutely right to emphasise the growth aspects of this budget. My friend, the member for East Devon, pointed out rightly that the budget delivered for Devon. I think he was absolutely spot on about that. I disagree with my colleague, the member for Christchurch, where he talked about a corporation tax. He needs to understand, and I may say so, that the rise in corporation tax was the result of many aspects of things, and what is noticeable about it, though, is that it did not trigger an enormous increase in business investment, and that is one of the reasons why we've adopted this slightly different approach. I agree very much with the words of my friend, the member for Bolsover, when he pointed out the importance of grants, these start-up grants that will support beauty and personal care businesses. I think he was absolutely right about that. He mentioned the town deal and the East Midlands Freeport, and rightly so. I agree with the Labour member for Leeds North East when he said he was pro our UK Infrastructure Bank being located in Leeds. I thought that was he was right to say that. That wasn't by any means the picture that was taken by his colleague in Leeds, who also spoke, but I think he was right in saying that. I thought the point that the Honourable Member for South West Hertfordshire made, which is in praising the Chancellor's honesty and directness engaging with us, I think that struck a chord with me. I think it strikes a chord with many people across this House and in the wider public. The Honourable Member for Loughborough pointed out the importance of skills. Absolutely right. The Honourable Member for Sedgefield pointed out the value of the super deduction plan. Again, I thoroughly agree with him. I think it was nice to hear my great friend, the member for Thurrock, talk about the importance of her Thames Freeport. That is right. I thought the comments that were made, if I may say, to disagree, I was surprised that the Honourable Member for Liverpool-Wavertree did not welcome the Liverpool City Region Freeport, which I think would be a tremendous boost to that area. I think she was wrong to take that. I think it will be widely welcomed, and particularly as it gets up and running, and I share her view of that. I respected very much the member for Croydon Central as she sang the glories of Croydon. That was a beautiful moment in our debate. I very much liked the possibility that you might be, as the member for Watford invited you, Madam Deputy Speaker, to sing, teach the world to sing. I look forward to that very much, and perhaps at a future debate we can be treated to a yodeling intro in the style of the late New Seekers. Or am I betraying my age, Madam Deputy Speaker? I think the member for Ipswich was absolutely right. He pointed to the town's deal that existed for Ipswich. He pointed to Freeport East, and he said this is a government, or he implied, and I'm sure he would have said it, that this is a government that does what it says. And I'm very pleased that in that regard, at least, we've been able to deliver for him in a way that we have delivered for many other places across the country, which have historically been ignored. So let me end then, if I may, by thanking honourable members for the comments that they've made. I would just say this. We are trying to do something big here. We are trying to respond to the big issues the member for Stalybridge and Hyde rightly flagged. He's wrong about about what he claims to be cliff edges. There is, in each of these cases, as I've described, a tapering effect in the major release that is designed to return us to something akin to normality if we can follow the roadmap and get out of the position that we're in. But the fact of the matter is, we are in the worst crisis the deepest downturn, as the Resolution Foundation pointed out, for 300 years. That is not a fact we can ignore, and it is a fact that it is incumbent on us across this House and in this government to address. Thank you.
Thank you.
I beg to move that the debate be now adjourned.
The question is that the debate be now adjourned. As many as that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Debate to be resumed what day?
Monday the 8th of March.
Monday the 8th of March. A point of order, Mr Douglas Ross.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Earlier on today, the International Trade Secretary announced that the UK Government and the US administration